Should we jump into some events talk?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you started to hit on weddings, and it seems like you were holding out back quite a bit on
Well,
on how excited you were with that and how deep you wanted to go with that. Is that the event you think that may take off within hotels within the metaverse, or
so this is
what are you most excited about?
yeah. So my background comes on this that as a teenager, my parents exploited me for free labor, and my mom built a wedding company called A Walk in the Clouds, and we had to do chair cover, sashes,
Okay.
overlays. We did all the stuff for Disney hotels, and so I was the person setting up all of that stuff pre-banquet and breaking it all down and seeing the DJs and basically how it all was done. And so when I think about like, okay, well, what does that environment, you know, look like? Like what is that setup process? Is that like can I change the room? Right? Is that like a hey, all the guests are inside of this,
Right.
like we're all inside of this, room and now it represents a banquet. But obviously all assuming, assuming you're in the metaverse, you're going to be able to go through and you wouldn't be setting up chair covers individually, right? I mean, or maybe it
Yeah,
is.
the
What?
maybe it's the dev, maybe it's the builder versus your actual, laborers. It's gonna be a little bit different. I don't know if you can send someone into the metaverse to set up the wedding, you know?
Or do
We'll
you
see,
have
yeah.
people, work the wedding? Do you have comedians that are in avatars? Like, do you have DJs? Are these, you could say, service-based roles going to exist? Or is it like, well, no, in the metaverse, you just integrate the sound? I was kind of thinking of like all of the different pieces, like the DJ. What's his role in that wedding? I think you said the other day, like, what's a wedding coordinator in the metaverse?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a big part of hotels is I mean, it's some hotels, it's strictly events and banquets and events. That's their main business, and such a big part of it is, maybe they have a team of 10 coordinators just for that one hotel, because it's so large scale, do they eventually bring that team, a few of them into the metaverse and work that's a role that can switch over very, very seamlessly. It's not going to be the same as everyone putting up the chairs and whatnot. But event coordinators, maybe it's something like they were talking about the reservation system where you can. There's going to be two sides of it, of course, where there's the actual events in the metaverse, and then they're using, say, space in the metaverse to show off their real life event space. It's the sales aspect. It's getting them into that immersive experience where they feel like they're at a wedding, but their weddings, a year from now at the actual hotel.
Yeah. I
So I think, yeah, there's two sides of it.
I think there's even an additional side. I don't think it's just that. I think it's complementative, meaning I'm not married yet. I haven't, but I will. And
Cheers, me
there
too.
will be a subsection of people that can't make it to my wedding. You know what I'm saying? There's always the case, right? I think anyone who's gone through that or at any event is like, oh, well, someone I really care about can't see this amazing environment, right? They can't see in the decor. There's no way that they can do it. Maybe they can get a video of it seen later. So let's take a step back here and let's pick the nicest resort you'd want to get married in. And then you meet with that coordinator and they say, hey, don't worry. You see this amazing environment and here's the chair covers and the sashes and it all matches. It's your perfect dream wedding. It's everything you ever wanted. By the way, anyone who can't make it, there's an exact replica of this for them in the metaverse that'll include all of the same things. So when the music changes, it'll change in there. So while they won't be able to be there, there will be a subsection of those people that will be there. And in a sense, you'll be able to have these types of merged environments. I think it's both, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. I mean, I agree because I just brought Morgan up to speak. So we were at a wedding literally last weekend where it was us and another Morgan's one of my best friends from high school, from our childhood, and it was literally just us and then the family in the wedding party, and they had to uninvite everyone else because they're still in that stage where you know it's risky to have that many people all at once, and that was not offered. The offering of even just viewing it online wasn't even mentioned. Um, so yeah, just having that as an option, but it can go, obviously super deep as to getting just versus like a viewership, just having a screen on the wedding or having a completely immersive experience for the guests that couldn't make it. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Thanks for bringing me in, Tom. Since we're talking about weddings, I had to put in my 2 cents. Been to a couple in my day, and then currently planning my own. And
Yeah.
yeah, so something like this would be amazing, especially in the past couple of years, like you were saying at our friend's wedding. Having a community, being able to invite whoever you want, regardless of where. Say I wanted to get married in the Maldives or something, that's clearly not, on my available list of funds, but something with this, maybe in the future, that could be done. It doesn't.
So now that you're Morgan, since you're in that planning stages right now, did you ever think about like having a virtual showing, at least just like a video for people that didn't come?
I am in the process of not thinking about that right now because I want
Gotcha.
everybody to be present. But I have been in a couple weddings in the past 2 years that have had a Zoom link and they've had an iPad in the back, and that was basically as immersive as those guests could be. There was no back and forth or anything. They were just essentially on a FaceTime to be able to watch their loved ones get married. So, it's obviously not the best outcome that they could have, but it's better than nothing. But if there's a better option, then obviously, yeah, definitely would take advantage of that.
Can I ask you a question, Morgan?
Absolutely.
Take it a step further.
Sure.
So let's say you're gonna get married. Are you doing it in town or out of town? Meaning, are you gonna have to travel to your destination?
We're looking at Miami, the Keys. I'm currently based in South Florida already, so not really, but for some people, yes.
Okay, perfect. One of the things we're playing with is the idea of the same concept, but in a hybrid resort, so luxury vacation rentals, where having an exact replica of that environment you're going to stay in the metaverse, and having the ability to have NFT mural picture frames and everything that you have in that setting that you can already meet people with virtually. But also, when you stay in that environment in real life, it adopts it. So you take the same concept you were just saying of the wedding, but now you can say, for instance, if you've ever checked into something really nice, the first thing you think is, fuck, I wish so and so was here to see this, right? And it's kind of the same thing of the wedding, right? Where it's like, oh, this place is so beautiful. It's a shame,
Right.
Sarah couldn't make it, right? And it's like you take the intimate experience a step further to, now I can look at this amazing place that I'm getting ready in, right?
Hmm.
You can see the backyard, you can see the pools, right? And it's not that, oh, hey, I get to have a video of it and here's the GoPro film. And so, what would you think of an experience like that, where it's the same type of thing, but it's within the lodging environment?
I think I would be uh into seeing something like that. You brought it up earlier, of being able to kind of check something out before you're even going to it. I think that um, it's a great opportunity. Yeah, no, I definitely would be interested in that. Like I said, sometimes your trip that you want to take, your dream trip is in your budget. So if you have an option like this, then your dreams could eventually come true one day.
And I think you touched on it briefly, was like, do you wish a friend could see it? Like, I think a lot of that setup, it would be, just to maybe check it out, see everything pop in, and maybe stay for the ceremony, maybe, and then head out. But it's just to like get a glimpse of it, just to like feel like you experienced, not necessarily, hang out all day with the wedding party in the metaverse. Um, More of a just an experience of being there, getting to see it, and I'm sure some people get out real quick, not really, especially early, not really being so involved in the metaverse, and you
Hmm.
know, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
or yeah, checking it out like that, thinking of setting up your wedding prior to this, or setting up your event. Like, say, instead of getting these wedding packages PDFs from the people that are planning your wedding at the hotel or at the resort or whatever, you can actually go and see what it looks like before, you're actually planning it.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna evolve quick. I wonder which hotel is gonna get on the wedding craze first and partner with us. We're gonna we're gonna be big on the events in the metaverse, and that's gonna be a big aspect of our hotels. Um, let's move on from weddings though. What else? What kind of events do you see
So
popping off?
I think at a certain point too, you're gonna have, everything's gonna go younger, right? So take weddings, sure, but quinceañeras, high school birthday parties, whatever environment, right? We're saying, yeah, wedding, but at that point, if it's in the metaverse, it's probably a room that can just be changed, right? And so
Damn.
it's
Okay. So especially when you see these kids growing up, in the
within the
metaverse.
environment. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's,
Exactly.
yeah.
Wow.
You're not
Okay.
trying to get, late 30-year-olds say, "Oh, we're going to do this." I don't think that's the play. I think the people who are really going to use this is the generation behind us, right? The real adopters, the 15-year-old kid that's buying an NFT today that in 15 years after he's been in the metaverse forever, the idea of having a portion of that of any type of social event in that environment, I mean, it's going to be a no-brainer, I feel like, at that point for that.
So here's a scenario. I'm gonna say it's gonna happen. There's gonna be people that meet at our hotel at the bar for the first time, their first date. They eventually meet in real life, and they come back to get married at our hotel in the metaverse because it was the first date.
I You have no idea how many people are probably going to find love for the first time via social interaction in the metaverse. I mean, you think how many people meet online right now, and then take the interaction of actually being able to be personable, right? Where you don't have to deal with, a computer screen, but you can actually interact on that, that higher level. Oh yeah, it's of course.
Yeah, especially with how the route dating apps are going, and not. I don't know if a lot of people are first off meeting on dating apps, but a lot of people are just not meeting at all. So I think once it becomes more popular and you can have a little more personal experience, it's gonna
Right.
bring it all together.
Right. Yeah. Especially, I mean, you're bringing in personal experience and everything of meeting at an event that you actually both have common, likes of. That's already one step in the door instead of just meeting on a social media app. You're already at this
Oh, for
facility. You
sure,
have
yeah.
something that you're sharing that you care about, so you're already
You
connected
probably
in
own
some
the
way.
same. You probably own the same NFT that gave you
Yeah, I was gonna
gated
say then
access
you're
to
gonna
Hmm.
that
check their
ecosystem.
wallet real quick and see
Yeah,
what's going on in
yeah,
there.
yeah. Like who this be?
It's gonna be crazy when people are checking wallets over social media, but I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some type of Web3 social media that's not out there yet, but it's going to include your wallet. That's going to be a part of it, I bet.
Morgan, would
Well,
you
it's already.
accept a,
Oh, I was gonna say
a
it's already
diamond
happening, right?
NFT ring?
A diamond NFT ring. Hey, we'll see. It depends on how much it's worth, right?
I think that's going to be something too. Somebody said that the other day. It's like, who's going to propose first in the metaverse, and like, what is that going to be? Like, is that maybe it's a ring that's claimable, right? You go into caves and you burn it and you receive the ring. That's a cool idea. I
That's
see
pretty
like
good. That's
Adidas
pretty
doing
good.
that now, where like you still get it, but if he's going to propose in that environment, he can show it. Hmm.
I like that. And there's obviously going to be jewelers if there's not already. I mean, I'm seeing some specific niches and whatnot, but you take her to the jeweler in the metaverse and then, yeah, you burn it for the real life thing.
Do you think shopping happens faster in the metaverse or in real life? And actually, it probably is the same, right?
In what aspects you mean
Like
faster?
if it's like, hey, your girl's gonna go and get dressed for her wedding in the metaverse. She's gonna walk down the street, go into that wedding gowns piece of real estate right next to the Nike store. And how long is it gonna take her to shop for that dress?
Oh, come on. I feel like it's the same time. They
Is it? That's what I'm
gotta.
asking.
Listen, girls, I've looked at 1,000 wedding dresses already. I haven't even seen one in person, and it's taken some time. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
exactly. Yeah, it's gonna. I think that's something, especially that it's gonna be a process no matter what.
So is
But
somebody working full time in that store to sell Morgan a dress then in the metaverse? And is somebody then,
eventually,
are you going to have bell staff in your hotel checking people in? That's just something I'm interested to see, right? Like, kind of
so that
breaks my
has
mind.
been mentioned that we want that aspect that you're touched on as soon as you enter. That's the part of 5-star services. Your personalized experience is as soon as you make eye contact with anyone at the hotel. So yeah, technically we want to have someone available at all times. Um, it's going to be a process getting there, but yeah, it's gonna staff is going to be huge very, very soon. And I think a lot of people would rather be at home, especially when it comes to hours within the hospitality industry. Like you get burnt out quick. I mean, I've been there myself very, a few times where you're running 12-hour days, running around like crazy versus, doing a few shifts on the computer and just talking to people all day. It's going to be a little better option for people, especially when it comes to probably being able to make the same amount of money. Like it's going to take so many people out of the hospitality industry, kind of like we saw the pandemic hit. But hopefully, in a good way. Hopefully, it's cross a little bit of like we were talking about with the weddings. Like someone works at a hotel and in the metaverse and can cross both sides of the sales aspect there. Um, but either way, it's a long ways to go.
So now we're saying that we're going to start ranking customer service agents on their ability to not only perform in real life, but the ability to carry that also into the metaverse. I'm just thinking from like a hiring perspective, right? You still have to hire everybody you would normally hire if you ran a real hotel, if you're trying to commit to the same type of level of experience, at least at the top levels, because it's all the minor details in the greatest resorts that make a difference, right? It's usually hundreds of little small things. So,
Oh yeah,
what,
yeah. I mean, to truly take it to the next level, it's touching on personalization and anticipating the guest needs before they do. And if you don't have staff, you can't do that. I think a lot of people will thrive more in the metaverse than they would in real life. Maybe someone that wouldn't normally be a bartender, and vocalized with guests and wanting to, or concierge, someone that's normally not in front of people that now is in the metaverse and maybe behind a different avatar, feels a little more comfortable, feels a little more involved with what they're knowledgeable about what they're talking about. So I think it'll bring out the best of some people as well.
so then is there going to be who's building the first staffing recruiting firm in the metaverse? Because that's you're going to need a great like the thing is like okay how do we source those people, right? Because it sounds like especially me and you we both know the type of experiences and what it creates, right? And all of these little things. And so it's funny that the second people start building and trying to deliver, you realize, oh man, there's so many opportunities and so many people are going to have to work as a full-time job in this space, in these different capacities, which is really cool, right? Because in a worldwide capacity, these are people that could never otherwise work or contribute. And it almost seems so natural. Like, of course, if you check into the Marriott in real life, you have access to their version of it in the metaverse. Duh.
So what in your
Um,
mind, what time frame are you working with? When do you see the full-time management staffing companies coming in, and being
so
able
I
to
think
fully staff a hotel, something like
So I think it already exists, the infrastructure. When you look at like my company, Majestic, we have a full-time team of staff that operates 24/7 to manage requests and guest things and everything. So saying instead of this person sitting in front of their computer or a portion of them sitting in front of their computer, they're going to be in a virtual environment doing those same things in those same capacities. I think it's much more turnkey and sooner than most already do because you already have a ton of people in the workforce that's already aligned to work online. I mean, the metaverse, like the systems and the underlying like technology has to support that, right? If you log in and the whole thing crashes, it's like, okay, well, this isn't the best, thing to be doing this on, but I think it's going to be an easier transition because it kind of already exists.
yeah. There was a Hilton article actually that talks about how they are bridging the gap between virtual reality, the metaverse within their own company. So they're starting within. They actually started with the corporate headquarters, got everyone VR headsets, and brought them into hotels. So they felt like they were not really syncing with people that worked within the hotels. So they brought them in the hotels with VR. And I think that's actually a really, really good approach to get everyone immersed into this world that you're going to enter eventually. Maybe you don't have your plans finalized yet, but they're 100% working on it. We know that. And now they're getting everyone involved, like almost like a here's what to expect. This is the route we're going. Be ready. So it's cool to see. Yeah, it's really cool to see where things evolve from there.
I think the fact that you already said, hey, there's companies looking at doing this, I think it's probably, and I'm bullish, so I'm going to give it less than 5 years. And I give it less than a year before somebody proposes in the metaverse if it hasn't happened already. And I'd
There's
put
been a
solid
wedding.
money.
I know for sure there's been a
Oh, there
wedding.
has?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where? Which land, if you don't mind me asking?
Decentraland. I know there's been at least one in Decentraland. I'm
That
sure there's
must have
been.
been a high quality wedding.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It didn't seem like much. It seemed like two avatars standing next to each other, and that's where they're at right now. So, um, yeah, that's why I didn't really mention it, but it was just not much at the moment. It wasn't a true
Yeah.
experience. It was more than just, a video of a wedding, but it was just two avatars standing next to each other and, speaking. That was about it.
Yeah. See, I want it so that when you're standing on the aisle and you're looking down and everybody, would be sitting there and whatever they were wearing, that whatever that would be in real life looks the exact same in a metaverse that's ideally built on like Unreal Engine so it can be rendered correctly, right? Because then if you can achieve that, then yeah, that's going to create a whole type of experience, right? And maybe people won't use it fully, but I think as more and more people grow up in the metaverse and, we all spend our time on discords with headsets on, it's like, but 15 years from now, the meta of that may be, well, no, we don't do that. We have discord within the metaverse and we just access it from there. And then we stream into that room. We don't, do this other thing. So I think it's going to go quickly.
Yeah, yeah. And let me ask you about sports a little bit. Are you into sports first off?
Big UFC MMA guy. I mean, I follow football, but no, I'm not an overall a huge football guy.
So I just love sports. I think it's a great opportunity to connect and to bring people
Absolutely.
together, and that's something we're going to touch on within our hotels. Do you see something like a UFC event? They actually have mentioned that this is in the works. Like Dana has been on a podcast and said they're already cooking up
100%.
a UFC event in the metaverse. But
100%.
I don't quite understand. Like I'm not a big UFC guy. Is there any way, do you think a video game creates, like they're going to fight in the metaverse, or it's all just streamed online?
Well, so just from a hosting event perspective, it's possible, right? Meaning getting people in a room surrounded by an octagon. Now, the mechanics of, hey, how does somebody recognize taking damage? What's recognized as a submission? What's recognized, what do those things mean? I have no idea.
Right. Do avatars mimic like real life,
Is it
or
like
be
a
absolutely
haptic
nuts,
feedback thing where like, when you used to hold a controller and when you got hit, it vibrated. So therefore that's what I'm saying. A lot of those things I don't know, but from a structural like standpoint, of course they will. Of course there's going to be several thousands of people in a stadium watching events or watching. If I said, hey, Kevin Hart's going to host an event in the metaverse, there's going to be 70,000 people watching him in the middle of a stage do comedy and he's going to sell it out. You'd probably say, of course he is. Of course, an avatar can stand in the middle of a stadium and do comedy. So I just don't know how the fighting piece works, but I'm pretty sure they can develop a mechanic that at least for the people that want to see that type of thing, it exists. I know there's a lot of projects trying to do a Fight Club type of thing. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, so what I'm picturing is, we have this large conference room, obviously, that can be transformed into whatever the heck we want it to be transformed into. So sporting events that can fit into that type of arena. Weddings obviously is going to be huge. But something, like a cooking class, yoga class, a fitness studio, like everything I think can be transferred in some type of way. And maybe it won't be on a consistent basis that we offer a yoga class every single day, but we want something to bring in people to the hotel every day. Once we're really rocking, something we'll have an event at least every day that will get people excited.
I think you have to. I mean, same thing in real life. It's like when the metaverse is fully built out, what's going to get someone to go inside of your place? If there's not a event or culture or plan behind that, it would fail just as surely as any hotel in real life.
Yeah.
You can't force people to engage with your product, whether you're first or last, unless it's good.
So when it comes to Sandbox, I know you're not super into Sandbox, but Sandbox and NFT Worlds is where we're building our hotels, and there's a little more game aspect to it. So we're gonna bring in eventually, events that maybe like a mini putt putt tournament in a we rehearse our conference room into just 10 little putt putt courses and have a little tournament. So once things are truly tokenized and the gaming system is full and up and running, I think you can have a lot of fun with it.
I agree completely. And for the record, sir, I am very bullish on Sandbox and Decentraland. It's just that the environment I have to build in for the clientele we're going after, it wouldn't fit that. Now, as we said before, like there's kids that are right now, they're gonna grow, like it's me playing Minecraft 20 years ago. There's a kid that's gonna grow and like his first date's going to be on an interaction probably on Sandbox, right? Playing one of the games you're talking about. I think it's all needed. I think, and ideally, I told you this TFAR too, that, heck, for the heck of it, I just may, do something in Sandbox just to have it, right? Because I think the best, communities are going to want an environment on each of the platforms. I don't know that it's necessarily like, oh, a project only develops on one metaverse platform because that's kind of it. And it's like, well, I mean, what if there's a person that wants to enjoy your hotel in the VR and then they want to enjoy it in Decentraland and they want to enjoy it in Sandbox? What would stop you from doing that, T4, if you could staff it and provide that experience and it made sense?
Yeah, I think eventually it will be super beneficial to touch just about every different, metaverse, different community as possible.
It'd be the equivalent of like your hotel chain doing fantastic, but you refusing to set up another one in another city because I wouldn't know the reason, right? I think that another metaverse is going to be as simple as that, where it's going to say, okay, well, if we can't grow within Sandbox because they're in there, is there another marketplace, meaning ecosystem metaverse, that would support that growth? I think it's going to be like land acquisition. It's going to be the same thing. Your problem would be I have to go buy land to develop something and build a community around it in a whole new city / metaverse. You're going to be building a lot of hotels, T-Far.
We got a lot coming. We got a lot to come. But shoot, think of how many hotels Marriott is building every year. Think of how many hotels they're buying every year. I know it's a crazy amount of number. The boutique hotel craze was bought out by the big guys. Marriott and Hyatt came and they bought out all those boutique hotels that have crazy names, and they kept the names and kept it on the low. But yeah, it's gonna mimic that very, very soon, in my opinion, to where you see all types of companies being bought out, all types of companies, working with each other in different aspects.
Absolutely.
Any other events that you're pretty excited about? We didn't really touch on. You see happening, within a short period of time.
Birthday parties are going to be the first thing, as I said. Some kids, it's not already. I got to imagine there's been dozens of birthday parties thrown in the metaverse already. I feel like that's something that is just going to shape up even more. I think besides that, I think it's every one of them. I don't think of a situation that applies in real life that I can't think of that happening within the metaverse. Because to me, it's just online. I can't think of it. What about you?
What I'm thinking about is how certain, think of a a super large conference or whatever, and how a lot of them touch on the food and beverage experience. How exactly does that transfer? You know, does it transfer to cooking classes and getting sent ingredients to your house to make it for like a fun experience? Does it transfer to sitting down at a table in the metaverse and getting presented fake, you know, courses just for the look? That's what I have a food and beverage background, so um, we're gonna come up with something, but which route we take, maybe all of them, maybe we find a niche and just food NFTs, you know, where you're selling different food just for the NFT. But I think food and beverage has a lot of room to grow.
I agree 100%. I think even going back to it, if you say, okay, Eric, if Marriott does provide you an environment, or say whoever it is, I'm just using Marriott because they've made an official announcement that they were doing something in the metaverse, or building their own. But most of the time, what do hotels have when you book with them? What do they give you? They give you a rewards point, right?
Right,
So
right.
what's that version of a rewards point? Within their ecosystems, what claimables are you going to be able to mint? When I think about this, I think of like Zapper.fi is like a pooling platform that I use a lot. And when you use them, you get this XP token. And then every season you can then mint NFTs that you can either sell on OpenSea or claim for different features, right? And so that same rewards program already exists in Web 2, right? Albeit it's terrible. I don't like any rewards program I'm a part of. I don't think any of them give me fair value for what I spend. But we know in Web 3 that'll have to be a much more equitable distribution between
Right, it's almost
consumer.
expected now to give back to your community in some way, whether it's a token or a free NFT.
That's
Yeah,
increases your user experience. So like, what if, because I hosted my wedding there, I got an NFT that then was claimable for like a three day stay at a future period of time, and then to claim that I just burned it, right? I think it's back and forth, where I think there's a real chance that your kid could be working virtually for a corporation that gives him XP that he can redeem for travel vouchers. Like, there's a good chance your kid's probably going to have a better chance at traveling easier for free than we ever have. Considering, if you look at this type of situation, I don't know if that makes sense.
it's going to cater to the new generation for sure. So, yeah, that's a
It's
good
like
point.
work P2E, but not. And it's like, well, I'm not paying you, but it's like you could basically farm technically. I mean, we see people now do it all the time, try and farm like Web 2 P2E token games. They're not really valuable. Like you have to really sit there and try and, I think there was like videos you could watch to earn tokens on a couple different apps for a long time, right? But P2E doesn't really work in Web 2 because it's just not that valuable. In Web 3, though, it's kind of the standard, right? We wouldn't touch any environment unless it rewards us for it. That's kind of like that's the base agreement with us for in Web3. If you don't reward us for interaction, we don't do business with you, except OpenSea, because we're held hostage.
I mean, we'll see how long it lasts. That's something. Think of how much hate they get just because of that fact right there. They haven't reward. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, obviously,
Yeah,
but that's a big part of it.
I
I
mean,
guarantee you that wouldn't come if there was a token drop. They would be
no,
praised.
yeah. Once Ape token drops, there will be no excuse for any other project not to have a token drop. Because at that point, it's basically, okay, well, if they did it with their valuation, what the are you guys doing? And you just need to get on board with the same attorneys. And so that's what I hope a lot of this, even Jenkins Valet, I'm super bullish on them because once they announce their legal structure, and I'm super curious to see how they structured it because I have a few structured a few different way, but that's all to become public and then everybody can build off of it. So once the competition, like once Ape drops their token, the standard is going to be everybody has to drop a token, and those who don't will fade away, right? Because there won't be this excuse of, oh, well, we're not really sure. It's like, well, that works until the one guy figures it out, And then
right?
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Then it's over. You
Especially
can,
when they announce that they're taking their time because they're going to do it right, and then once it's done right, there comes everyone else right after them.
yeah, absolutely. And that's usually how innovation goes, right? If somebody provides the original breakthrough, and then everybody mitigates and builds off that, which is really the best case scenario, right? And Web3 has been starving for that type of situation. And we've had so many projects promise that than not. So I think that's really cool, in that aspect too, because at this point, the ability to, within a DAO, potentially drop a token that's tied to assets. In the Jenkins scenario is based off in real life profit stream based off a licensed book. And at least, in like Ape DAO, for instance, I use them as a reference because they're kind of like a hot topic. That's based off the intrinsic value of all of those apes, which really aren't floor apes, that were put in there back in like July, so it's like,
Yeah.
the value on a lot of these projects, it's like if they were to win, and if they drop tokens or part of it, it's going to be unreal.
That is for sure.
DAOs and hotels have a place to play.
Always, especially if it's done right. We've seen that from the teams that, we've said it before, how Jenkins, crashed, but they built right. They did everything right, and now people are starting to realize that. And the price obviously resembles that as well.
Yeah, they say FTM, first to market. It's a very powerful advantage. Usually you eat all the failures that come with it, but if you're good enough, you're usually persist and break through the other sides. And it looks like, ideally, especially this year, we're going to see a lot of projects in a lot of different areas experience those breakthroughs. I think it's going to benefit the community tremendously.
For sure. Should we wrap it up for today? Anything events-wise you wanted to touch that we didn't hit yet?
No, that's really it. I don't have anything else. Morgan, you have anything you want to say? Thanks for hopping on. Good luck on your wedding.
Guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. I should just do it in the metaverse. Maybe it'd be easier. But no, I'm good.
We're going to have the first wedding in Sandbox is going to be Morgan Shattuck.
Deal.
We'll make it happen.
Only at our hotel, though.
Yep. You can have multiple receptions. So, technically that's kind of already there, right? That's kind of already a thing.
Hey,
don't
maybe
tell me with a good time.
We'll take care of this one for you, all
right? This one's on the house.
All right, we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll come up with a topic and let you all know beforehand.
See you guys.
Good. Bye, everyone.